Hi, I'm Christine, and today I'm coming to you with a tip for Project Dress a Girl. Now, the tip I'm going to show you today, this little tutorial on sewing a fully lined dress with no exposed seams, is something that's not just for children's clothing. I use it on several of my patterns, and I've even used it on something that I've sewn for myself. I do have a very detailed sew along for this dress that I'm going to be showing you today. If you're a very beginner, you might find this helpful. This is the video on my channel that has received the most views, nearly 40,000 views. I'm going to link it here and below. I'm sewing these dresses in support of Project Dress a Girl 2024. This is a charity event being run here on YouTube and over on Instagram by Madi. She is Madi Sews here on YouTube and at Madi Sews for Curves on Instagram. I'm going to be inserting an informational video at the end of this video. It's a little clip where you can get all the details on how you can participate in this event. I hope you do. I'm also going to link it down below. So the dress that I am making, I'm going to do a couple of different dresses. I really do enjoy sewing children's dresses, but this is from the book Creative Applique Favorites by Martha Pullen. This is an old book. It was previously out of print, but I've seen that it's available again. Now, I spent probably about $19 on this 20 years ago, and that's about what it runs now. And I found it to be a very good value. You get a dress, an apron, and a John pattern all in this. I think it's 12 months to 6 years is the age range. And I have more than got my money's worth out of this. In particular, the John, I like the shape of this better than any other pattern that I have tried. And this is my go-to baby gift. But we're not talking about Johns today. We're talking about sewing a fully lined dress and how you can do that with no exposed seams. So this pattern, the one I'm sewing today, I'm sewing in a size 2T. You have a back piece, you have a front piece, a back piece. These are cut on the fold. There is a pocket piece. The dresses do need to have a pocket on these tiny sizes. Sometimes I will just put one pocket on in the center and a label. So this, let me show you. This is the fabric I have chosen. There are two chambray fabrics. So the main fabric, I've already cut it out and started on it, is this colorful butterfly and floral print. And I think a little girl is going to love this. And for the lining, I'm going with just a classic blue chambray. It's a really nice quality. And both of these fabrics are similar in weight. I think this lining is just a touch lighter. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to cut out your pattern pieces. Now, if you're doing something for Project Dress a Girl, like I am, I have already attached my pocket, my label to the pocket and my pocket to the dress, the front of the dress, and you're going to sew the front and the back along one side seams, right sides together. Now you can see I've already done this and I've pressed it open. You want to do that for your main fabric and for your lining fabric, which I have already done. And my tip for you is if you are sewing two pieces front to back and there's a lining, that you come up with some kind of method. For me, I always sew on my main fabric, my front on top. When I'm sewing them right sides together, this is my front, it's on top. I sew down this side seam, and when I go to the lining, I put the back on top. So this is the back, and I sew down the side seam. The reason is you're going to open these out and you're going to be sewing them right sides together, and you're going to want to match your front to your front and your back to your back. So that's going to be the next step in this, is I am going to be lining this up and pinning all the way around, including here at the arm opening, all around the back, all along the top and the bottom of the dress, and you're going to leave the side seams open. So I'm going to get that pinned together, and I'm going to come back. I have sewn all along the top. I start at the armhole area, go all the way around the top. I'm getting all the curves. That's something that I've been asked before. And then I've left this side open. I have left this side open, and I have sewn the bottom. I used a 1/4 inch seam allowance per the pattern, and my next step is to clip my curves, trim my seam allowance, because we're going to be turning this through. I want to show you another project I'm working on, a different charitable donation. This is the Taylor Romper. I do have a tutorial on my channel for this children's pattern. It's a children's corner pattern, and is constructed in the same way. I deviate a little bit from the pattern instructions because I find this way easier. And so this one, you can see I have already trimmed my seam. And since I have pinking shears, I do all my trimming with the pinking shears. So I clip my curves at the same time as trimming my seam allowance. So that's the next step on this little dress. The other thing I wanted to mention is I've done a little bit of homework. I have put in some iron-on interfacing on the shoulders. This pattern uses buttons and buttonholes to close. For this charitable event, there's no buttons allowed for the donated dresses. And I'm going to show you in my next tutorial how I'm going to sew this dress, not using buttons, and have a really cute fastening. So I've done this ahead of time, and let me show you what I like to use. I got this tip from Whitney from Tomcat Stitchery. It's Sew Keys E, and you can buy it in many independent fabric stores or Amazon, I believe. And this is 1 1/4 inch by a 25-yard roll. And I like the convenience of this. I can just snip off the size I need. And I use this all the time to interface the buttonholes. Previous videos, I said I didn't interface my buttonholes, and I have come around to interfacing these little buttonholes. Yes, we've got 2 layers of a pretty stable fabric, but the buttonhole does sew a little nicer with this. I've always put a piece of paper underneath, so my buttonholes did come out nice, but now that I'm stabilizing them, I don't have to put a little piece of tissue paper under that. The other thing I wanted to quickly mention is when I sew a lining on a dress, I cut my lining a little shorter than the main fabric at the hemline. So here along the bottom, you can't really tell because I've already sewn this together, but this blue fabric is my lining. I cut it about anywhere between 1/8 to 1/4 inch shorter than the main fabric. And then when I sew it, I bring the edges together at the top and the bottom, which means that this middle part is more taut. And when I turn it out, the right side of the fabric, a little bit of it will pull under, and that will guarantee that I don't have a drooping lining I'm guilty of this before when I have not done that, and then I can see the lining drooping out underneath my dress. We don't want that. So I'm gonna trim this, I'm gonna press it, and I'll meet you back here. All right, I have it all trimmed along the top and the bottom. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull it right side out, just reach through the side. I'm going to poke out all of my little straps, get it nice and neat, and then I'm gonna press them. This is my opportunity to get these looking really neat. So I'm gonna spend a little time with that. And then I will turn it back inside out to close it up. And I'll show you how I do that in just a minute. Let's get these all poked out and ironed, and we'll be ready to go. I am back from the iron. It was a quick trip over there because the thing about a light to medium weight chambray, it knows who's the boss. And it was really quick and easy to get a nice finish on both the curves and on the tabs. It knew I was the boss and knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to show you the bottom hem. You see how a little bit of the front is rolling over to the back? So we're not gonna have a lining drooping through towards the front. The next step is to turn it inside out again, but I'm not gonna turn these straps inside out, just the dress. I'm gonna let the straps just kind of hang inside. So I'm going to go through the opening. This gigantic opening here in the side. And I'm just gonna turn it inside out, just like so. And this is where the magic happens. I've turned it inside out. Then I'm gonna reach my arm through one end of the dress to the other end, and I'm going to grab my fabric and I'm gonna pull it through to where it meets up here, right sides together. So I'm gonna start pinning here at the side seam, and you'll notice I have my main fabric right sides together and my lining fabric is right sides together. So I'm gonna get my pins. These are my favorite pins. So when I'm working on cotton and lightweight fabric, these are my go-to pins. The ones I like the best, they're glass head. You can iron over them, but also it's a really nice quality pin, so I don't get snags. They go in quick and easy. Part of the thing is changing them. You think about changing your needle probably more often than you think about changing your pins. All right, so I put a few pins in. I'm coming to the other end, and I'm matching lining to lining, main fabric to main fabric, right sides together. And I'm going to pin here. Everything matches up perfectly because we did a good job cutting out, and we also kept a proper seam allowance, so it's all matching up really nicely. And I'm going to sew this circle closed, but I'm gonna leave about a 3 to 4 inch opening in the lining, and that's how we're gonna turn the dress through. So I'm gonna continue pinning around the circle, show you what it will look like. I wanna remember to leave that opening. So I'm gonna put double pins, 2 pins right next to each other. That'll remind me to leave an opening, and over here a little bit. I'm gonna put 2 pins in, and I'll know not to sew between here, and I'll finish pinning. I don't like to leave that opening too close to the hem. It just is easier to get a nicer finish. I'm not putting a strain on the seams where another seam is coming together. So there we go. I think one more pin will do it. And let me show you. It looks kind of like a tube. And I'm gonna do it on my free arm, on my sewing machine. I will start at one of my double pins. I'm going to go all the way around this circle till I meet the other double pins and leave my opening. I'm going to tie off at the beginning and the end by doing a back stitch. That was quick. So I left my opening here and I've sewn all around the circle, and I'm just going to reach my hand in and I'm just gently going to pull it right side out. I'm going to pull everything through this hole that I left, this opening. I'm not going to yank it. I did make sure that I reinforced it, went back and forth a little bit at the start and stop, but I think I left I didn't need to leave as big of an opening as I did. All that means is it's quicker to turn right side out. Give it a little shake. And there we go. It's really looking like a dress. So then all I have to do is to go inside the dress, since we left the hole in the lining or the opening. I hate calling it a hole because it's an opening. We're going to close it up. See how nice that finish is? Being fully lined, it's such a nice clean finish. That's going to make this dress so durable. Here's our opening, and you could slip stitch this closed, but I typically just go in and do it with a sewing machine. I fold under my 1/4 inch seam allowance. I will edge stitch this closed. I'm going to change my thread to something that matches a little better. It didn't matter what color thread I used while constructing this, since it's all hidden inside the dress. This is going to be visible. It's just going to be a little visible, but I want to make it as nice as possible. So I'll find a thread that matches this as close as I can, and I'm going to stitch that closed. Then I'm going to have a fully lined dress that is totally adorable. In my next tutorial, I'm going to show you how to convert a pattern like this that closes with buttons at the shoulder to where it doesn't use buttons, ribbons, snaps, or Velcro, and it looks super cute. It meets all the requirements for Project Dress a Girl. And speaking of which, let's listen to Maddie, and she'll tell you all you need to know about participating in this project.
I'm Maddie from Maddie Sews, and I'm the founder of Project Dress a Girl, the month-long event where we all sew dresses for girls living in extreme poverty. All of the dresses that we're making need to be able to slip over a little girl's head without any kind of fasteners, all except fabric ties and elastic. You can use those too. Now you can sew any size, up to a size 12, but please make sure that your fabrics are all natural fabrics. They can be a blend, so if you've got a blend that is mostly natural, that's okay. But do make sure that your fabrics are not sheer. And if you by chance happen to have a sheer fabric, go ahead and line that. And while we're talking about fabrics, let's avoid any of those cartoon character themes like Disney characters and the like. No words on your fabric, because we don't know where these dresses are gonna go and what language they speak. No country specifics like flags or holiday themes. And please, no pillowcases. Don't waste your precious sewing time making a dress out of a pillowcase that won't get donated. No one wants that to happen. Do include at least one pocket on your dress. The more the merrier. They're the perfect place to place your Project Dress a Girl label or your Dress a Girl Around the World label. My favorite place is to put it right on the little shoulder right there. You can get these labels right here, the Project Dress a Girl labels, over on my website. The sales from these labels do help with the event cost. Anything that is left over ends up getting donated to Dress a Girl Around the World. But of course, you can also use this label that you can get from Dress a Girl Around the World. And this year, I'm really hoping that we can hit that 7,000 mark so that way we can help 7,000 little girls. We keep track of all of the dresses that are getting donated, which means that you, my friend, you need to let me know how many dresses you've made for a donation. And you can do that one of two ways. You can either post your picture on Instagram using the hashtag Project Dress a Girl 2024 and tag me at Mariso's 4 Curves. If you're not on Instagram, no worries. Just send me an email to projectdressagirl@gmail.com and my team will be happy to record your final numbers. Now, if you're wondering, well, Mari, how do I actually collect these dresses? I've got you covered. You can either find a local ambassador who has opted in to receiving dresses from this event. And if you don't have a nearby ambassador, feel free to ship me your dress. If you have any questions or want any details, go and check out the kickoff video over at Mariso's. You can also send an email to me at projectdressagirl@gmail.com. And by the way, in case you haven't done it yet, make sure that you subscribe to this video right down there. Check out those little buttons down there. Subscribe, hit that bell, and turn on all of your notifications because you don't want to miss any of the amazing videos that this amazing YouTube creator is making for you. I mean, you really don't want to miss another dress, do you? So go and hit that subscribe button.